bond set for ex-Sarasota officer accused of misusing flock cameras hundreds of times. Wow, who could have seen this coming? A former Sarasota police officer faces criminal charges after authorities said he improperly searched for the same license plate hundreds of times using law enforcement surveillance technology. A former Sarasota police officer, Corey Waiters, is accused of 2 felonies and a misdemeanor for misusing flock license plate cameras. An investigation earlier this month after a USA Today reporter discovered Waiters searched for the same license tag 355 times. On one day alone, Waiters searched the tag 121 times. That is some scary stalker behavior. What is your spouse doing that you feel paranoid enough to search for the tag 121 times in one day? That's fucking wild, dude. During a first court appearance, Waiters' attorney emphasized his deep ties to the area. A judge set Waiters' bond at $5,500. That seems relatively low for someone who's been stalking. What we don't know, police have not disclosed who Waiters was tracking or why he repeatedly searched the license plate. I think I just said spouse because I just assumed spouse, but yeah, they're right. They didn't say who he was tracking. But like, who else would he be tracking? Let's be completely real here. But yeah, they don't say it, so it's not. We don't know. We don't know. Sarasota Police Chief Rex Troche said in a statement, "We take allegations of misconduct seriously. When an agency member's actions fall short of the standards and professionalism we expect, we will address it appropriately and without hesitation." Chief Troche has not addressed whether the department will add additional safeguards to prevent future system misuse. That's kind of weird. I feel like maybe you should. I don't know. The backstory, the camera system can track vehicle movements showing where individuals travel, including visits to churches, meetings, or work. Defense attorney Brett McIntosh is not related to the case, but noted that flock cameras are powerful tools to solve crimes, track missing people, or clear suspects. How did flock cameras go from like, oh, a couple of them have been put up, but like everybody hates them and nobody wants them and everybody is rallying against them, and all of a sudden they're literally fucking everywhere? How did this happen? Hear me out. How about just not have flock cameras? That's where I am. How the fuck did they get put up so fucking quickly and in so many fucking places? McIntosh warned the incident highlights privacy concerns when society allows government tracking. Number one, there's no doubt that the flock cameras can be a powerful tool for law enforcement to solve crimes. Shut the fuck up. I think this example is a prime example of where flock can go wrong, not just with the individual, but as we continue as a society to make decisions to give away our right to privacy in order to receive a little bit greater protection from the government. This is what we allow. With a flock camera, they can set up and determine everywhere and anywhere any individual goes. Where you go to church, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, who you are hanging out with, who you're socializing with, what you do for hobbies, where you go for work, every single thing about a person everywhere they travel can be followed and determined, said McIntosh. The case follows a separate incident where Haines City police officer Christopher Goodson was charged with misusing flock cameras to track his estranged ex-wife. Hey, I have that in a tab. An affidavit showed Goodson searched his ex-wife's license plate 717 times. Despite privacy risks, the camera network has helped locate missing children, solve major crimes like the deaths of 2 USF students, and provide clearing alibis and homicide investigations. Again, these are very relatively new cameras. I don't believe that these things wouldn't have happened without these cameras. I don't think we need these. I think body cams on officers are very important, and that makes sense, but having flock cameras literally everywhere to track everything that everyone does, not so sensical. I do not wish to become the UK. South Carolina officer fired for allegedly using flock cameras to run ex's license plate 166 times. Police officer in South Carolina was fired for allegedly misusing the flock camera system. Officer Ellie Anna Hammond, 24, was terminated on August 3rd, according to the Malden Police Department. A spokesperson for the department said they would not provide further comment due to this being a personnel matter. Hammond was fired due to allegations of misconduct between March and July, according to documents provided by the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. During this time, Hammond allegedly used the flock camera system 166 different times to track a vehicle belonging to her former significant other. The reason she gave for each plate search was untruthful, according to the documents. She allegedly claimed her reasoning was warrant check, traffic infraction, and welfare check, which was not the real reason for entry. Hammond has not been criminally charged. According to the Criminal Justice Academy, Hammond was hired as a part of the Uniform Patrol Division in June 2024. Prior to her being hired, she completed all necessary training and passed her psychological evaluation. License plate readers have sparked a debate nationwide over concerns of mass surveillance, privacy, and civil rights. There have been numerous instances of officers using flock cameras to stalk people or conduct unauthorized criminal searches. The surveillance technology company announced Thursday that it would be making changes to its platform, intended to quell privacy concerns and address documented abuses of its system by some members of law enforcement. Officer allegedly used flock license plate cameras to track boyfriend's ex-wife. A North Carolina police officer has been accused for allegedly using flock license plate readers to track her boyfriend's ex-wife, according to police, as the use of the flock camera system across the U.S. has come under fire. Mooresville Police Department was conducting an audit of its flock license plate reader system when it was discovered Officer Elizabeth Snowman allegedly accessed the system 31 times for personal use. She assessed the computers, the LPR license plate reader cameras, to find information and track her boyfriend's ex-wife. Camperchiani said at a news conference Wednesday. At least twice she accessed these cameras while she was off duty. Snowman, 36, was arrested and charged Wednesday with accessing computers, police said. This is frustrating and aggravating, and Camperchiani said officers have to put in the reason for why they're using the flock cameras, why they're tracking this vehicle, and said Snowman allegedly listed most of the 31 trackings as motor vehicle infractions. Camperchiani added that the department is looking at 10 other potential misuse cases, and said 3 look like they could be problematic. Flock said in a statement, any misuse is unacceptable and responsible technology should help bring it to light. When public safety technology is used the right way, it helps solve serious crimes and protect communities. When it is misused, Flock's audit assistance helps expose it. Snowman is due in court August 27th, and flock cameras, motion-activated cameras, we don't need to learn about that, we know what flock is. In Utah, the Garfield County Sheriff's Office said Wednesday that a flock camera was vandalized within days of being installed. No, it wasn't. I have it on good fact. Whoever did that was actually helping me babysit my cats. You know, I was out of town for a weekend. What I'm wondering, we have 2 lady cops and 2 male cops now that I've just read in like 20 minutes about misusing flock cameras to stalk people. I wonder what the level of LexisNexis abuse was, right? Because like LexisNexis is more back-end, and so you can't really track them as much in real time as with flock cameras, but it still allows you to have like an extra edge on your stalking abilities. So it kind of makes me think, with all of these stories coming out about flock cameras, is it just that there's less of a restriction to get access to the flock cameras? Because I needed to pass a background check in order to use LexisNexis, right? I had to have like some special fucking clearance in order to use that. So maybe that kind of keeps more people from misusing it? I don't know. I have no idea. Ranked competitive stalking, truly. Truly. LexisNexis gets used by cartels? Yeah, like I'm sure there's some, but it's like, is there just like that barrier in the way helps? I'm not sure. You thought LexisNexis was a case law database? You can use it to look up license plates and VIN numbers to find out more information on people. We used it in insurance in order to find, like, if we had an insurance company on file, like, say, I needed to file a claim with, like, State Farm, and State Farm was like, oh, we don't have an insured by that name, and then you look through their record and you try, like, their previous insurance companies, and they're like, oh, we used to have that person, but they're no longer with us. Then you would go to LexisNexis and see if they have any active insurance on their name, or on the vehicle, rather. LexisNexis is a huge data broker. They've got almost anything you can think of. Yeah. I used it in insurance, is what we used it for. We touched on this briefly, I think, on side scrollers, but Kern County District Attorney's Office is going to reopen the EDP case after watching the documentary. New documentary about former internet personality Bryant Moreland, once known online as EDP 445, has prompted the Kern County District Attorney's Office to re-examine a Bakersfield sting operation from April 2021, in which Moreland believed he was communicating with a 13-year-old girl. Moreland first made headlines 5 years ago after an internet-led sting operation in Bakersfield involving a decoy, not an actual 13-year-old girl. Moreland was never charged in connection with that sting. Now, the recently released documentary, The Sick Mind of EDP 445, examines the rise and fall of Moreland, who grew up in Bakersfield. The film includes an interview with To Catch a Predator host Chris Hansen and focuses in part on how Hansen's show inspired a wave of YouTube sting operations, including the 2021 Bakersfield operation involving Moreland. The Predator catcher YouTubers were so much worse than I had ever previously, like, just assumed they might be. That documentary, just like, everyone in there was fucked up. In one clip shown from the documentary, Hansen asks, "You were trying to have sex with a 13-year-old girl," and Moreland responds, "For the most part, yep." Director Mike Klum said the 2021 sting became a major online story. So you can only imagine the catch in 2021 in Bakersfield was a massive story all over social media. I genuinely don't remember this. A couple of you guys said that I did cover it when it happened. I genuinely don't remember, so I have to just believe you guys that it did happen and that I did cover it, you know? Like, holy fuck. I mean, obviously the sting happened because we're reading about it, but like, I don't remember ever talking about it, which is crazy. Like, you'd think I'd remember something like this. It was the most discussed thing on the internet for a month, 2 months, 3 months. EDP was banned on every platform, is a huge YouTube channel with, I believe, almost 5 million subscribers and was deleted and banned. I don't understand this sentence. A direct quote? Usually they like put sick in the quote if they have to like add stuff to make it legible, but like, are they saying EDP's YouTube channel was banned? But then they say on every platform and then is a huge YouTube channel. I don't, what? The film shows YouTuber Alex Rosen messaging Moreland while posing as a 13-year-old girl in April 2021. It also includes video of Moreland arriving at Bakersfield apartment complex where he's confronted by Rosen and others involved in the sting. The documentary also shows screenshots of sexually explicit messages and photos, which the film identifies as material sent by Moreland to the decoy. Klum said Moreland did not face legal consequences because of how the sting was handled. So while he didn't face any legal consequences due to the way the sting operation was handled, he received a massive amount of public backlash and was getting fired from jobs. Klum said he reached out to the Kern County Sheriff's Office and Kern County District Attorney's Office, but neither agreed to appear in the documentary. Disappointing, but understandable. The documentary also includes Moreland discussing sexual feelings towards minors, including a person he says was 15 years old in 2023. In the film, Moreland also discusses sending that person explicit videos and photos. Klum said the documentary presented information that had already been widely discussed online. It is fairly shocking to hear it presented in such a direct way. It is. It really is. But I think that, you know, what EDP did in 2021 and again in 2023 was pretty well documented online. And really, I thought that kind of telling his story only made sense to give him a chance to express his true views that he admitted at the time and again said on camera for me. Once again, I am so very glad that so many of these criminals seem to be actually retarded. The district attorney's office said it is now reviewing the case again. In a statement, the office said, "We are re-examining the case in light of the statements made by the suspect in the documentary." The sheriff's office said it is not currently investigating unless new information emerges. "We are aware of the documentary produced by Mike Klum about this case. However, at this time, we are not actively investigating the matter unless additional information becomes available." So what's the difference here? It says it's going to review the case, so if it's going to review it, what is the point? What is the point of reviewing it if you're saying, like, you're not going to do anything unless there's new information? Like, what? The district attorney's office previously said it requested more information on the case in January 2022, but that information was never resubmitted. The sheriff's office later said investigators did not receive enough evidence or cooperation from those involved in the case. Well, yeah, I mean, you can't get clicks off of that. That's boring, right? I can't make content out of that. The Kern County District Attorney's Office did not answer questions about whether the statute of limitations could affect any potential prosecution. Yeah, I don't know what can still be done to someone in EDP's position, but it's not good thinking about him just wandering around outside in public, still being able to contact people and potentially do more damage to younger people. Yeah, you know he hasn't stopped. And it's like, again, I praise Mike Klum here because he was just like, this is an injustice that this pedophile is able to just go around and do shit. Whereas all of the pedophile catchers have, I guess, just stopped caring about it. They're like, well, what can you do? It's like, well, that's supposed to be your job. So you're supposed to be the guy that's figuring out, well, what can you do? You know, like, it's kind of gross to just be like, oh, I know that this guy's a pedophile and I know he's going to reoffend, but like, whatever, man. Whatever, bro. That's not my problem. That's someone else's problem. Like, that's just fucked up, in my opinion. D-Knight, thank you. You don't have to be stupid to be evil, but it helps. It's like, there's obviously very evil and smart people, but I'm glad that the majority seem to be very stupid and get caught more often than not. If the cops have to say, I know he's a pedo and I know he's going to reoffend, what else can a YouTuber say? Again, my point, like, the YouTubers fucked the entire investigation both times. And so now you're in this, like, horrendous position where, like, a pedophile is just out and about on his own recognizance. And it seems like nobody can do anything about it. The cops aren't even saying they can't, they're just saying they won't unless they get new information. So it's just like, well, what the fuck? Since they screwed up the case, they need new info, so they call it a new case and they can use the past stuff. It's like, if he's going to reoffend, you could probably catch him again, but I wouldn't trust any of these fucking YouTubers to do it. And for now, evolution dictates that they'll get smarter the more that are caught. I don't know about that. We have a competency crisis running through the country, you know? He's admitted he has an MO, so there's a pattern. There is a pattern. So it's like, I want to say it's good that they're reopening the case, but if they're saying they're gonna reopen it and just not do anything unless new information emerges, I don't know how much of a good thing this is. Stripe tells investors that the Singularity has begun, and also shares some first half performance data. What? Excuse me, Stripe, what did you mean by this? Stripe has a horrifying website, by the way. I fucking hate using Stripe, and I hate people that demand you use Stripe instead of PayPal. Holy fuck, Stripe is retarded. The Singularity, yeah. Stripe on Wednesday told investors that January 1st marked the beginning of the Singularity, which it refers to as a major inflection point in long-term trends, according to a letter obtained by Axios. The payment giant believes that being privately held is the best structure for such a consequential moment, which suggests that any IPO remains on indefinite hold. The company said that first half revenue rose 41% year over year, and that free cash flow rose 43%. Stripe says 88% of the Forbes AI 50, including OpenAI and Anthropic, are building on its platform, while the share of its revenue from AI and crypto companies has more than doubled year over year. Stripe today also confirmed its acquisition of OpenRouter. No sale price was disclosed, including in the investor letter, but Axios has learned that it was for more than $8 billion, mostly in stock. Stripe told investors that remaining private enables it to fund acquisitions and long-term investments without diluting them. It said its share count is lower than it was 3 years ago, even after significant M&A. I don't know what that means. Stripe also said its share price has compounded at 31% since its Series D, versus 14% for the S&P 500 and 18% for the NASDAQ. Stripe last said businesses on its platform generated $1.9 trillion in payment volume in 2025, up 34% year over year. In February, the company was valued at $159 billion in an employee tender offer, up from $91.5 billion a year earlier. Stripe is also pursuing an acquisition of PayPal. No! PayPal is already slightly obnoxious to use. Stripe is like the most user-unfriendly payment platform I've ever had to use. I fucking hate Stripe. And I hope Stripe does not gain more prominence than it currently has. There is no pay. I would rather use fucking Cash App than Stripe. Stripe is so fucking bad. Stripe is also pursuing an acquisition of PayPal, with Advent International reportedly offering $53 billion for the payments company. I don't know what they mean by the Singularity, but I don't like this. Stop it. Stop acquiring other payment companies. Stripe World Order, you'll deal with the shitty UX. No! I don't wanna! I thought Stripe was bad. Wait until your mortgage company makes you use Built for online payments. I have no idea what that is. Though, my mortgage company had this really cool thing. It was like an interactive graph where you could be like, okay, what if I put like X amount more on the principal? How much faster will I pay off my mortgage? What if I did like X amount every month? How much faster would I pay off my mortgage, right? Like you could do all these things and it would show you in flat numbers and on a cool little graph. They fucking got rid of that. And I was like, why would you get rid of a tool that was so fucking useful? Why would you do that? Bring it fucking back. And they still haven't. They still have not brought it back. Singularity means there can only be one. Oh, so they're trying to monopolize? Kind of weird.
There can be only one.
Nathan Cofnas, the guy whose Substack we read all of the plagiarization issues about Jason Arday on, he said, on the 20th, he said, I'm under investigation by my university for discriminating against Arday. And he posts this screenshot that says, statement on respect for human dignity and opposition to discrimination. Over the past few days, Ghent University has received many inquiries following the death of Cambridge professor Jason Arday and the public reactions to it. We are aware of the questions and concerns surrounding this matter and understood that it has affected many people. We wish to clarify how the university is handling this situation. First and foremost, Ghent University is shocked by the death of Professor Arday. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, colleagues, and students. His death has also hit our own academic community hard. At the same time, we wish to be clear about the values we uphold as a university. Ghent University stands for respect for human dignity and opposes discrimination, hatred, and racism. We attach great importance to academic freedom and to open academic debate, even when views are controversial. Well, that's obviously a lie. However, that freedom is not unlimited. It goes hand in hand with responsibility and may be restricted in order to protect the rights of others. So you do not attach great importance to academic freedom, especially when views are controversial. Instead, you decide to silence that because that could create a problem with people getting all sad and stuff. For this reason, the university takes the recent public statements made by a postdoctoral researcher at Ghent University regarding this matter very seriously. Ghent University has decided to take appropriate action within its powers and the applicable framework. We do not wish to preempt any potential decisions at this stage. In order to maintain objectivity, it is important to be transparent while also respecting the confidentiality inherent in a personnel file. The death of Professor Arday should prompt reflection. We hope that lessons will be learned from what has happened regarding the way we treat one another both within and outside the academic world, particularly when people become the subject of public controversy. You know, I do think we did learn some lessons here. And it's that women don't belong on the council that accepts people to professorship. And also, all of them should have their credentials looked into, because that's suspicious. And also, if you commit fraud, you're going to get caught, and it's going to be very embarrassing for you. So embarrassing that you might decide to kill yourself instead of taking accountability for all of the fraud that you've committed and all of the opportunities you've taken away from deserving people. Those are the lessons we should be taking away from this. You're right. Instead of standing up for fighting against fraud, they'd rather punish those who bring it to light completely, unfortunately. It's a very sad indictment of where we are, that this guy is getting investigated for showing off the fraud. And then August 20th, he also said, "I was just suspended by Ghent University. They will almost certainly fire me. The decision was made by Rector Petra Sutter, a former leader of the Green Party. She used ChatGPT to write her inaugural speech. It was full of fabricated quotes. People just be out here lying all day, buddy." American academic behind the Jason Arday plagiarism allegations is suspended. Nathan Cofnas, the U.S. academic who raised plagiarism concerns over the late Cambridge professor Jason Arday, stop calling him a professor, he wasn't one, said on Thursday he had been suspended by Belgium's Ghent University and was under investigation for discrimination. Arday, once hailed as Cambridge's youngest black professor, was found dead, age 41, in London last Friday, days after resigning from his post. Arday had denied the allegation of plagiarism, but acknowledged making mistakes. "I was just suspended by Ghent University. They will almost certainly fire me," Cofnas wrote on his X account. In a post a few hours earlier, he said he was under investigation by my university for discriminating against Arday. Ghent University said it had suspended Cofnas as a precautionary measure pending a preliminary disciplinary investigation, but did not go into further detail on the reasons. It could not comment any further to safeguard the confidentiality of the personnel file and the disciplinary proceedings. I really hate this because they should be praising this individual for outing a fraudster. Because if somebody who committed fraud and had lied about all of their achievements was able to be given a professorship, that makes your entire institution less prestigious. Not only because you were defrauded and you let him in anyway, either you knew about it and you didn't care, or you didn't know about it and you're that easy to trick. Either way puts a huge dent in your credibility as an institution. Why would people put any kind of importance on the certificates given out by your university if you are willing to either lie about knowing about this guy's fraud, or you're too dumb to see it? They're going to keep tagging him as a professor, just like St. Floyd of the Fent whenever his name is mentioned. It's procedure in Marxism. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thousands attended a vigil in central London on Monday to commemorate Arday. British Prime Minister Andy Burnham described Arday's death as a tragedy on so many levels and said it was a moment for reflection. Cofnas wrote on his Substack page on July 21st that he had been contacted by a source at Cambridge University about accusations of plagiarism concerning Arday. Cofnas said at the time he would not reveal who the source was. Good! That source would probably get harassed and fired too! Cofnas himself had come under scrutiny in his academic career after Cambridge University's Emmanuel College ended its association with him after some students expressed concerns over a Cofnas blog post, which argued that in a meritocracy, blacks would disappear from almost all high-profile positions outside of sports and entertainment. Cofnas says he is not a racist and is in legal dispute with Emmanuel College. And I think that if you really detest and you really hate what he's saying here, the biggest own that you could do is to prove him wrong. Right? Especially if he's a professor, and especially if he's a professor at colleges that are generally considered prestigious. If you prove him wrong, you then overshadow this man in the history books. That should be something to aspire to, right? Instead of getting him fired or investigated for racisms, you should do the same research. You should try to replicate what he got and see if you can prove him wrong, right? You hate how people feel they need to say, I'm not racist, as it instantly puts them on the back foot to the Marxist rats. I also hate it, but it's also very understandable because when they use their magic words, it automatically puts you in a position of needing to be defensive. Because if you don't defend yourself, you get articles written about you, you get fucking companies firing you, you get sponsors cutting contact with you, you can't win. You can't win. Unless you want to completely check out of regular society, you have to defend yourself from that. And it's fucking obnoxious. Like, this is why I keep saying I wish more politicians would stop caring about optics and would just say the reality of things. Because the more people in higher positions of power that say things, the more it becomes available to be able to be said by other people. And you can experience this in a bit of a microcosm as well in content creation. If a large streamer says something, they can say it. If you say that something, you might find yourself getting attacked by schizophrenics. What is it? There's like the fucking, you know, all VTubers have boyfriend or whatever. Like everyone's made that joke. But when I was smaller and I made that joke, I had like schizophrenics freaking the fuck out, being like, she's secretly talking about a specific person's boyfriend. And it's like, no, that's something like larger VTubers than me make jokes about all the time. I'm not something special. Cofnas says that he is not a racist and is in a legal dispute with Emmanuel College. The plagiarism allegations against Arday drew huge media coverage, leading to questions about other elements of Arday's life, including statements he made about his career, personal life, and medical conditions. Before his death, Arday repeatedly said the public attacks upon him were taking a toll on him and his family. This is literally a case of like me when I'm reaping / me when I'm sowing. He was on top of the world. He was so full of himself and just fucking chuffed with glee when he was fucking sowing. Now he has to reap the consequences of all his lies. Well, that sucks, don't it? Well, actually, he escaped those consequences by killing himself. My bad. Then it isn't just one person calling out a bad man. It's thousands. The mob has a voice and it's very loud. Unfortunately so.
We gaan langs bij Nathan Cofnas, de meest gehate academicus aan de U Ghent en sinds gisteren preventief geschorst.
This has to have
Well, they've shut me out of my
right?
email
There we
account.
go.
They've banned me from campus.
De brief van de rector bevat een aantal heel concrete elementen en beschuldigingen aan
Okay, so we're not going to be able to listen to the weird German, but we can at least understand the guy in English.
Cofnas' adres.
Things that are being pointed out is comments you made about Professor Arday. For example, you called him mentally disabled.
He called himself cognitively impaired.
What a great start! What a wonderful start to an interview! It's like, well, according to him, he was mentally impaired, unless that was a lie too.
What I said was very similar to what he and his own supporters say.
Ghent University also points out in the letter that you called Jason Arday a worthless scholar.
Well, because he is.
Yeah, well, he is. That's why the university placed him under investigation and why there's a scandal.
Professor Arday is dead now. Some hold you personally responsible for his death.
The fraud killed himself in order to not have consequences for his actions. Now, some people might say that's your fault for exposing his fraud. I hate Clown World so fucking much.
So, now, that's a very tricky question, right?
It was the academic Jew in the classroom with the candelabra.
Taken action which set off a series of events that led to a tragic outcome. If I say that I'm not responsible, then it sounds like kind of I don't appreciate the consequences of what happened. If I say I am responsible, I mean, what are the implications of that?
Some accuse you of...
I don't think he should really care about the implications of saying he's not responsible. I don't think that makes him callous. He's quite literally not responsible. Because if people were to attack him for saying he's not responsible for the fraud killing himself, which he's not, then that begs the question, are you just not supposed to out fraud? I mean, a Californian would say yes. That's why they have a law against Nick Shirley now, right? But outing fraud, outing someone lying, does not make you responsible for that person's actions thereafter.
Taking pleasure in his downfall.
I had zero interest in Jason Arday. I had no ill will for him. I wanted him to stay professor and live his best life.
I'm going to press X on that one, buddy.
This was about DEI and Cambridge. Arday was just incidental to that.
Incidental, but now he said, of course, that you...
Why does that matter? He's just like, this was ultimately about DEI. Arday was their DEI poster child, so he was incidental. I was outing fraud and outing issues with DEI. And she's like, well, now he's dead. Well, that's not this guy's problem. This guy didn't force him to kill himself.
Some way underestimate the human toll this would take.
The human toll! Sir, it's very problematic that you show the issues with DEI and how propping up someone who shouldn't be a professor as a professor and who has this fantastical background, like, that makes, like, our professors look bad and such. So, like, you can't do that.
The fact is he was an influential, powerful person who sought power and fame. You have to be allowed to critique such people, even if there's some risk that they will take it the wrong way or feel very bad about it.
You said in a podcast interview, and I quote, "After the revolution, I will be the head of the Department of Eugenics and Race Science at Harvard." What did you mean by that?
It was a joke. I made a joke.
It means he also has a little piece of paper on his wall documenting the decrease in white people in America. Like that one other guy who's like super happy about it, you know?
I didn't even realize the camera was rolling at the time. So, okay, you saw the worst thing I say when I think no one is listening, that it's not being recorded. That's it.
And is it really a joke?
Well, I mean, the joke is based on some kind of truth.
Yeah, I just don't really care about jokes in group chats in current year. I do not give a single fuck about a joke in a group chat.
Which is that I think that there should be a science of race. I think that academia should study race. It should study hereditarianism.
So it's not actually a joke?
Well, the joke is that I'm going to be head of the Department of Eugenics and Race Science.
The joke is that there wouldn't be a Department of Eugenics. He's adding absurdity. He's adding hyperbole. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat.
People are taking it too seriously, in my opinion.
On social media, there's a lot of personal attacks aimed at Rector Petra de Sutter, rather...
Oh, and we're going to get to that individual in a second.
Viciously attacking her identity as a trans woman.
If somebody has misgendered Rector de Sutter,
that's a man, baby.
I had nothing to do with that. And I'm getting harassed I would assume, a lot more than Rector de Sutter.
This is an interesting game right here, right? This is a very interesting matchup in the victim hierarchy. Right, you have the Jewish man and the transgender ex-Green Party person. Who I couldn't tell you who's gonna win in this battle. This is actually fascinating.
I'm flooded with death threats, just countless. Every time I open my email. This is an example of hate mail. Since you asked for the most recent, stay safe. Me, I am the Jew in this case.
Me, I am the Jew. He just said that funnily. The zoom in on the menorah is like almost fucking comical.
You know, just don't tell people my exact address, and I think I'll be okay.
Because just to be clear, it is your ambition to stay on at Ghent University.
And he shouldn't be removed. He outed a fraud. Why would you remove him?
Or isn't it?
Well, I'm not out to be fired. It's my job, so.
The new season of The Office is wild.
Is
What? Why did they put this picture up of him? I thought they did this man so dirty with this. That makes him look like some kind of evil mastermind. This is a quote retweet of Nathan Cofnas' post that we've read previously. Him saying he was just suspended by Ghent University. They will almost certainly fire me. Decision was made by Rector Petra de Sutter, a former leader of the Green Party. Gad Sad here said, the rector of Ghent is Petra de Sutter, photo below. This is the person who is ultimately on watch as Nathan Cofnas is fired for having pointed to the unimaginable fraudulence of Jason Arday at Cambridge University. Petra, who is a biological male and a gynecologist, wow, that's not a red flag at all. That's kind of, you know, I've had male gynecologists and they've been Korean and great. I would not trust this individual to be my gynecologist. Is a trans woman. I presume that Dr. de Sutter does not believe that human beings are a sexually dimorphic and sexually reproducing species consisting of two default phenotypes, male and female. The story understates the Orwellian and Kafkaesque world of academia in every conceivable manner. And this guy says, you presume correctly. When he was Belgium's deputy prime minister, Belgium, what the fuck? He criticized the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. What? When did that happen? When did Britain have an Indian prime minister? What is even Britain? I'm so confused. Belgian transgender deputy prime minister urges Sunak to not join the real bullies. Belgium's deputy prime minister, who ranks as one of Europe's most senior transgender politicians, has urged Rishi Sunak to not join the real bullies after remarks made by the British prime minister at the Conservative Party conference this week. Sunak told the audience, we shouldn't get bullied into believing that people can be any sex they want to be, to cheers and loud applause. They can't. A man is a man and a woman is a woman. That's just common sense. The Prime Minister's comments came as it was revealed that the number of hate crimes committed against transgender people last year in England and Wales had climbed to a record high, with the Home Office suggesting in its report that the 11% rise may have been prompted by comments by politicians and the media. Yes, I'm raising my hand. I have a question. How much is that increase in crime potentially by the migrants who have been accepted into the country? I would just like to know that trajectory has matched the increase in migrant crime as well. Get bullied into stopping call me crap instead, right? On Thursday, Petra de Sutter, Europe's first openly transgender minister, described Sunak's comments as hurtful and very disappointing. These words are fueling transphobia and are endangering the lives of many people around the world. Trans women are women and in no way a threat to others. Don't join the real bullies, Rishi Sunak. This explains why this man is defending a fraud and going after the guy that outed the fraud. De Sutter, a doctor and gynecology professor, was sworn in as deputy prime minister in Belgium in 2020. Sunak's comments were widely seen as an attempt by the prime minister, whose party is trailing 20 points in the polls in 2023, before an election expected next year, to lean further into the culture wars. During the Tory party conference in Manchester, Suella Braverman took aim at so-called gender ideology. In a speech which was a prominent conservative, was ejected from the premises after he accused the Home Secretary of homophobia and transphobia, saying there was no such thing as gender ideology. Andrew Boff, who was gay and previously served as the leader of the Tories in City Hall, later told the Press Association that Braveman was basically vilifying gay people and trans people by this attack on LGBT ideology or gender ideology. Attenders at the conference also heard from the Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, who promised to ban transgender hospital patients in England from being treated in female and male-only wards. Barclay's comments were criticized by moderate Tory MPs amid concerns that LGBTQ+ people are being targeted as the party attempts to appeal to those on its right flank. I hope to see him solve problems which actually exist, said Jamie Wallace, a conservative who became the first openly transgender MP last year. Sunak did not give a damn to do anything. I've been reading Rishi Sunak and thinking it was a woman this whole time. Conservative, by the way. The party names in Britain do not make sense to me, brother. Does not make sense. Why is it every time your home comes up, it absolutely sucks? Body type A is not the same as body type B. That was weird. But going on over here, we had Mike Benz, quote retweeting Gad Sad, saying, as soon as I saw Ghent University's telltale blend of being 1, run by someone in high-level statecraft, and 2, awash in woke academia, and 3, overrun by transgender madness, I immediately knew USAID must have been funding it. Turns out it was USAID partnered for 25 years. Ring, ring. USAID's relationship with Ghent University appears to have started in the late 1990s through Ghent's International Center for Reproductive Health. Beginning around 1999, USAID and Family Health International worked with ICRH Ghent on HIV and AIDS programs in Kenya. Over time, Ghent helped build local ICRH branches in Kenya and Mozambique, which became increasingly independent organizations but remained closely connected to the Ghent-based ICRH network. From there, the relationship expanded. USAID funded ICRH-linked work on HIV and AIDS, reproductive health, sex workers, and other key populations, while USAID-funded programs also supported research that fed into Ghent publications and PhD program. So you're telling me my tax dollars as an American citizen went to funding transgenders in Belgium, giving sex workers to people in fucking Kenya and Mozambique? Are we fucking serious right now, brother? Holy fuck. I know we watched some kind of like mini documentary thing about sex workers in some African country. I can't remember which one. And they were talking about like just how like rough everything is and how they're incentivized basically to keep doing sex work because it pays better than anything else in the area. By the 2010s and 2020s, USAID was funding ICRH Kenya and ICRH Mozambique through larger health programs, including increasingly specific programming for LGBT and transgender populations. How fucking large do you think the transgender population is in fucking Kenya? What are we doing? 4chan jokes aren't supposed to have been accurate to the last 2 decades. Come on, man. I'm so fucking tired. One dude, 90%. They're just like, well, we can't figure out how to make people stop raping. Let's just chemically castrate them. Outside reproductive health, USAID money also reached Ghent researchers indirectly through programs in agriculture, nutrition, and environmental conservation. For example, through IITA, the Engine Nutrition Program in Ethiopia, and USAID's Congo Basin Carpe program. So the basic evolution was USAID and ICRH Ghent in the late 1990s. Ghent helps build ICRH operations in Africa. Those institutions become major USAID implementing partners. I think you mean money laundering locations. USAID funded programs increasingly feed into Ghent-linked research, training, and specialized health programming. I like this top comment. Nothing gets past that nose. And he posts his fucking side profile. Cyrano de Benzerac. I don't even know what that means. You mean we were giving money to a country with a higher currency value than the US dollar? Yeah, seems fucking like it. We have Genevieve Gluck of Redux saying trans-identified male Petra de Sutter, male name Paul, who had been the Deputy Prime Minister of Belgium since 2020, was formerly a member of the European Parliament. He gave a TED Talk in Brussels in 2018, praising Aldous Huxley's Brave New World as a vision of a future to aspire to. In the talk titled Telebabies, De Sutter, a former gynecologist, praises gene editing as a moral imperative and quotes Julian Savulescu, who has co-authored an academic paper on why eugenic selection is preferable to enhancement. In the world of Aldous Huxley, procreation is not something that is connected with sexuality or with relationship or family building anymore. You just go to a clinic or a factory, if you wish, and you give your gametes. After so many months, you can pick up your child, which has been genetically enhanced and designed according to the features that you want. De Sutter has previously been accused of a conflict of interest when campaigning to alter laws to permit the surrogacy industry in Europe. He has openly profited from surrogacy practices in the hospital where he worked as a gynecologist. University Hospital of Ghent and co-developed a surrogacy clinic in India called Seeds of Innocence. Can I just pause here for a second? I feel like setting up a surrogacy clinic in a country that basically treats women like second-class citizens, and like rape is a very real, like, daily threat to people just wandering around there, and then calling the surrogacy place Seeds of Innocence. Like, this is like multi-layered levels of like disgusting evil going on here. Like, why would you do any of this?
I will talk about procreation, and as you can understand, this is one of the most intimate existential themes that Aldous Huxley has been treating in his book, which he wrote in 1932. Can you imagine?
I thought that maybe they were being hyperbolic about this guy using a Brave New World as like something to aspire to, but I guess not. What the fuck?
Brown, the first IVF baby, was born in 1978. He's gonna be 40 this year, so he was really a visionary. And he showed us some tools, or gave us some ways of thinking of redesigning the human being. I will talk about reproduction. I will also talk about genetics. And this is a still from a very nice movie that if you have...
What the hell kind of dog hair wig is that? Maybe he's a fan of Margaret Thatcher.
If you're interested in Aldous Huxley's ideas, this is the movie Gattaca. And the Gattaca is...
Wait! Someone in chat mentioned Gattaca! Hold on, what the fuck? How did you know where this is going?
World where every human being has been designed and has been genetically enhanced. In the Gattaca world, just as in the world of Aldous Huxley, procreation is not something that is connected with sexuality or with relationships.
Didn't a bunch of like pretend trans people get really angry at Cyberpunk 2077 because they had like advertisements in the game where you could get giant penis enhancements on your lady body? What? It's all so confusing.
Or family building anymore. You just go to a clinic or a factory if you wish, and you give your gametes, and of course if you don't have gametes at that time, you give some piece of skin, you take a skin biopsy, and then after 20 months you can pick up your child, which has been genetically enhanced.
Yeah, I don't think you should just be able to say, all right, well, today I'm going down to the child factory and have them put together a child for me. I'm going to pay like $5,000. You can pick it up later, you know, no big deal. I might get a cheeseburger on the way.
According to the features that you want. Now, this is, of course, Aldous Huxley's dream, and we haven't achieved this. This is ectogenesis, which means pregnancy outside of the uterus. There is a lot of research ongoing in the field of ectogenesis, but nowhere is able today to allow a pregnancy outside of the uterus, and I guess some people might...
I already forgot what year he gave this talk, but I think they managed to cultivate like a lamb fetus and an artificial womb, right? I don't know how long it lived, but I seem to remember reading about them having like a successful lamb fetus growth in like a fake womb, artificial womb.
We'll be happy about that. But the message, of course, that I want to give here is that the future we are talking about, Aldous Huxley's dream, he wrote this book in 1932, remember? This future is happening now, and the whole question is, will you...
I don't like this future.
Your own procreation?
I don't like the future where you can go to the child factory or the rape cis women factory. Neither of those things sound like great places to be. I don't like that future, you know, maybe we don't do that.
Future. And some people are afraid of totalitarian regimes that will take over and then manipulate embryos and give them the characteristics they want and so on. I don't believe that this is a real threat.
Even as someone that believes being able to gene edit children away from having like horrific health defects would be a good thing, even me am very skeptical of the government. Why would you say you don't think that's a real concern? The fuck?
There is a philosopher, Julian Savulescu, and I like to quote him because he's really a smart guy. He's been thinking about this, and he said, if one day we can use gene technologies to enhance the characteristics of our children, we have the moral duty to do so. This will allow us to go towards the perfect family as we have.
Oh my god. Ice Wolf said, fucking, that'll 100% happen. We already did it with dogs and horses and probably other animals too. And my brain immediately had like a horrific human centipede sequence where they're like trying to breed for designer babies that have like shorter limbs than other babies so that like they can't run away and escape as easily. Holy shit, what horrifying things perfectly within human comprehension I don't want to see happen. People will come to love their oppressors, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think. Aldous Huxley, he was very much against the idea. You know, you saying that quote, and this autogynephiliac on stage saying that we live in that reality. People will come to love their oppressors. How many people no longer believe that I'm from the government and I'm here to help is a horrifying phrase? How many people genuinely believe the government is actually there to help them? To adore technologies that undo their capacities to think. Wasn't there a study done recently that showed that the more exposure to TikTok that someone has, the less they have the ability to, like, hold a coherent thought or some shit? I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, that's kind of fucking crazy. That's kind of fucking crazy.
And the perfect family, of course, today is already a possibility. We're not talking about heterosexual families as it was in the past.
That's true. Heterosexual couples are in the past. That's over now. We need to look to the future, and heterosexual, that's so in the past. They're like dinosaurs, man. We don't need that shit.
We're looking at new possibilities that already exist, but we still need donor eggs and donors.
Hey, remember when I made that joke about this just feels like a way for people to buy children from the children factory? Hey, remember when I made that joke? Hey, do you guys remember when I said that it's impossible to be comedic when Clown World just does the thing?
And surrogates to obtain these families, but you can see the whole concept of rainbow families where sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 people come and they already visit our clinics asking to have one child, all 3 or all 4.
So you're selling children to polycules? And you want us to think that you're not evil? I'm very confused here.
You can see a picture on the bottom right. This is really changing.
Wait a minute.
All 3 or all 4 of them. You can see a
picture on the bottom right. So the bottom right, this is a polycule of 1, 2, 3, 4 adults, and I'm assuming this is some child with a disability because of the way that they're hunchbacked. And it's not just a regular polycule, it looks like a transgender polycule, because these are men with pregnant bellies, which means that those are biological women who have been taking hormones to appear more male-like. And, you know, it's very blurry, so I can't really tell, but it would make sense if those 2 women were men. The child isn't pregnant, right? Please tell me that isn't the case. I don't know. It just looks like it has a disability. I don't think that child is pregnant, thankfully. Entirely, it seems like it.
Or 3 or 4 people come and they already visit our clinics asking to have one child. All 3 or all 4 of them. You can see a picture on the bottom right. This is really changing humankind, taking over our own evolution.
Yeah, but what are the repercussions of that?
And then you have different reactions to that idea. You have people that say, you can't do that, you can't change nature, you can't change our fates and take over our evolution. It would be against all kinds of things. And these people would say, you should stop this technology. Other people say, no, this is the future. This is really how we will survive if artificial intelligence might want to.
I mean, even then, even if you're like, I don't like this, it's kind of like, if you let China do all of this and you do nothing, China will just eventually win by way of having more technology. It's the same with AI. Even if you don't like AI, if we aren't competing with China, China will just have the best AI and we'll be fucked. Don't be silly. Repercussions are for other people to worry about. God damn it.
We will have to change our own genome and enhance our genes, make them the humans of the future. And these people are, of course, very optimistic about this technology, and you know that this philosophical school that really wants to take over human evolution is also called transhumanism. So
besides the general horrors inside that TED Talk, single embryo transfer rate reduction in IVF. Paul Sutter is a gynecologist, clinical infertility for 15 years. He directs the infertility department, reproductive medicine at the university, blah, blah, blah. I can't read that. Are the sexual embryo transfer, sexuality, and procreation. Paul Sutter is a gynecologist active in the fields of reproductive endocrinology and clinical infertility for 15 years. He is attached to the University Hospital Ghent, where he directs the infertility department together with the last author. He's also a professor in reproductive medicine at the University of Ghent. His special research interests currently are the single embryo transfer strategy, clinical endocrinology, and all aspects of human sexuality and procreation. He's got that face, even when he was male presenting. He's got that. I've seen pictures of Ed Gein. I don't trust you. Just coming full circle. It's definitely, irony is not lost on me that this guy who is a proponent in all forms of eugenics is trying to get Cofnas like fired and discredited. And they even bring up how they're just like, oh, you made a joke about eugenics. Yeah, he made a joke about eugenics, whereas this crazy fuck is actually genuinely serious about it. And yet somehow the guy who made a joke about having a eugenics department is a problem because he outed a guy for being fraudulent. How are you going to try and knock a guy for making a joke about having a eugenics department when this is the person that you're supporting? Judge removed as Karmelo Anthony is seeking a new trial. Karmelo Anthony's legal team says that they're pleased with Judge John Roach being reclused from further legal proceedings involving his case. They note today's ruling answers a fundamental question: whether a reasonable, fully informed observer would see Judge Roach's conduct and believe that he could fairly and impartially consider a motion for a new trial. We believe, for the facts and reasons addressed in the motion and applicable law, that the judge was correct in granting the motion to recuse. Karmelo Anthony's defense team just scored a major victory in their push for a new trial. Their request for a new judge in the case has been accepted. The decision came from a Collin County, Texas courtroom Wednesday morning, courtesy of visiting Judge Sid Harrell, who served as the judge in the first Uvalde school shooting trial. This means that Judge John Roach, who presided over Karmelo's initial trial, has publicly stated that he thought the trial was fair, has been recused. Karmelo Anthony's attorneys argued that Roach's public comments following the trial proved he was unable to be unbiased while hearing their case for a new trial. The new judge has yet to be appointed. When a new judge is appointed, they are expected to hear arguments from Karmelo's defense on Thursday as to why he should get a new trial. As you know, Karmelo was accused of fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf with a pocket knife during an April 2025 track meet in Frisco, Texas. Karmelo was found guilty of murder after a highly publicized trial in June, and he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. It should be all of the years under the prison. What are we doing? He is currently housed at the Wallace Pack Unit, a medium security state prison operated by Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Karmelo, by the way, misspelling, attended Wednesday's hearing in a green jumpsuit. His parents and Austin's parents were also in the courtroom. His supporters reportedly cheered in the courthouse and on the streets outside the building when Judge Roach was ordered removed from the case. His family has maintained his innocence and immediately began working on appeal. So, the problem with this is that I think when it comes to Judge Roach, they had been preventing certain things from being presented by the prosecution. So there was like certain amounts of evidence that they were not allowed to present during the trial for some fucking reason. And I'm not really sure I understand like why that's the case when they're just like, oh, you can't show this evidence because it will influence the jury negatively towards my client. And it's like, well, yes, because your client did a heckin' murderino, buddy. What are we talking about here? Truth about Karmelo Anthony's secret girlfriend, mystifying messages, and a trove of unseen photos revealed. She posted intimate photos of ice skating dates, birthday celebrations, and face mask nights at home. Face mask nights at home? Like the beauty masks and not COVID masks, right? She called him her sweet boy and told him to hold your head high and vowed to keep fighting for him, screenshots show. Now the Daily Mail can confirm the identity of the young Texas woman who is standing by the convicted killer, Karmelo Anthony. Valeria Perez, she better watch out lest she become another woman who just happens to climb into the back of a Tesla and decapitate herself. You know, women tend to just do that. Has been described by friends as Anthony's high school sweetheart, though she kept a low profile during his murder trial. She appeared to defiantly speak out again after a Texas jury this month sentenced Anthony to 35 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of fellow teenager Austin Metcalf. Anthony, also 19, was convicted and sentenced on June 9th for the murder of Metcalf in April 2025. On June 10th, Perez reportedly showed her support for her boyfriend, sharing photos that presented another side to the convicted killer. My baby only kill a white boy, let him go. He didn't do nothing wrong. White boys are worthless. They don't mean anything. It's okay to kill them, in fact. That's fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. Women be crazy, dude. She posted a video containing more than a dozen photographs of herself and Anthony together and called on him to stay strong, according to reports. The photos show the couple embracing, ice skating, applying face masks together, and marking a 17th birthday. Hold your head high, my sweet boy, the post read. You're not alone. We're fighting for you, always. I love you more than words. She also used her social media presence to promote a newly created Instagram page under the handle Stand with Karmelo Anthony. The response was swift and brutal. Majority of social media users condemned her post as tone-deaf and disrespectful, accusing her of publicly celebrating a convicted killer while the victim's family was still in the grip of grief. Well, I mean, that doesn't matter. The only people that are sad about this are white people, right? And like, they're not even human, so their tears don't matter. He actually did everyone a great community service by taking out one of those great white beasts. It's just like, it's actually crazy, once again, that I can like say all of this shit in a comedic manner, and it's perfectly fine. But if I were to do this with any other race except white people, I would probably get fucking banned for it. Angry comments and mockery flooded in. Her personal TikTok was locked down and the Instagram fan page was removed. Perez went silent. Bruce Johnson, 27, an organizer for the Collin County Democratic Party who knew both Anthony and Metcalf, said he understood why. That was kind of a scary situation for somebody as young as her. Johnson told the Daily Mail, why the fuck are you sympathizing with someone posting about supporting a murderer? What are we doing here? Like, I feel like I unironically take psychic damage every time I read about people propping up a criminal, especially a violent one, over the fucking victims. It's just like, why? Why do we have to live like this? Why am I forced to read about these thoughts of actual unensouled beings? The situation around this case has been super tense. Johnson said Perez and Anthony had been in a on and off relationship for around 2 years. Wow, I'm so shocked. Though he said he was uncertain whether they remained a couple now that Anthony is incarcerated at the Wallace PAC unit, some 70 miles northwest of Houston. Daily Mail could not confirm which school Perez attended or where she lives. Johnson's connection to the case runs deep on both sides. Like Anthony, he had been a student at Frisco Centennial High School and, more recently, had taught the teenager there as a long-term substitute teacher. Meanwhile, Metcalf, a student at Frisco Memorial High, was a close friend of Johnson's niece. Both of these boys, they were both babies, and Austin lost his life, but Karmelo lost a portion of his life too, he told the Daily Mail. See, chat, whenever I talk about weak men, this is the kind of man I'm talking about. Like, whenever I do the, like, weak men create hard time speech, there's a whole host of people in chat that are like, Kirsche, it's only the women that make things bad. And I feel like they take it incredibly personally. But it's like, I'm literally talking about men like this. Why are you sympathizing with a fucking murderer? Why are you acting like an emotional, lapse in logic, woman-brained individual? This is not how men should be acting. This is insanity. Men are the ones who are supposed to keep everything lawful and in line. And yet everything is chaotic because weak men and women are in the reins of power. That's just fucking insane. How do you look at a murderer and the murder victim and be like, blah, But they were both babies. Shut the fuck up. The murderer made the conscious decision to murder the victim. They were not both babies. One of them was a baby, and one of them was an evil thing. Sure, he murdered an innocent boy, but he's also a boy, so we should feel bad for him. Like that. This is something I would expect from a woman, but hearing it from a man causes an even more visceral reaction of, you are a disgusting being. Right? Like, I just expect women to be dumb and say shit like that. But when a man says that shit, it's like, you know better, dude. What the fuck? What are you doing? Don't fall for the gender war psyop in the year of the midterms. They're trying to make you scare the hoes away from common sense. The hoes need common sense. Jurors on June 9th found that Anthony stabbed Metcalf to death following an altercation at a high school athletics meet. There wasn't an altercation. We've all seen the footage by now. Literally zero altercation, man. I was like, oh my god, they keep calling it that to make it sound like there was an actual fight, and that's not what happened. This is his girlfriend saying, M. Hart, hold your head high, my sweet boy. You're not alone, we're fighting for you, always. I love you more than words. Jesus fucking Christ. The teens, both 17 at the time, had never met before that day. Anthony entered a tent reserved for athletes from Metcalf's school and was asked to leave. Confrontation followed, in which Metcalf pushed Anthony, who pulled a black pocket knife from his backpack and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest. Anthony was arrested at the stadium. He pled not guilty, did not take the stand at trial. His lawyers argued he had panicked after being shoved and acted in self-defense. Jurors took less than 3 hours to reject that argument, convicting him of murder, meaning they found he had knowingly caused Metcalf's death, rather than the lesser charge of manslaughter. The verdict lit a firestorm, and in the parking lot outside the courthouse, law enforcement broke up physical altercations between opposing factions. Online, threats and racist abuse flooded in from multiple directions. Critics argued that Anthony, who is black, had been convicted by a jury from which sympathetic black jurors had been deliberately removed. Yes, that's the entire point of the jury selection process, actually. If you are a black person and you go to jury selection and you say, I could not, in good conscience, convict a black man, they're not gonna let you on the jury. And that's why afterwards we watched all of those people being like, now you just gotta lie. You just gotta lie in order to get your brothers off. You gotta go up in there and say, nope, I'm definitely unbiased. I'm willing to hear all the sides of the case, but you go in there knowing you're gonna let him free. And it's just like, how are we supposed to trust anyone when this is the kind of mockery that they're going to make of the currently non-justice system that we have? They also attacked the judge's directions on the defense strategy. Johnson was blunt in his assessment of the trial. He pointed to the near total exclusion of black jurors as the most damning sign that Anthony never had a fair shot. If any of those black jurors had lied and gotten on the jury, it would have been a hung jury. They literally admitted that they do not want to convict him. And so from this point forward, if you let any black juror on this jury, you can't know if they're lying or not, since it was promoted to just lie to get on the jury. This isn't a racist statement. This is you have said this openly out loud. Everyone has encouraged lying to get on the jury to set him free. You can't say that and then call people who say, hey, wait a minute, that sounds like we shouldn't trust anyone that's going to be trying to get on the jury as a black person. That's not racist anymore. That's not a racist statement. That's an observable reality. You said you're going to commit fraud in order to release a guilty man. What are we doing? Evidence of Austin's alleged history of bullying, he said, was kept from the jury. What? Witness accounts of the initial physical confrontation were contradictory, ranging from a linebacker-style hold to a slight push. Wow, some of the people were lying. Wow. Justice wasn't handed down in the way that's equitable for everyone, Johnson said. Justice is not equitable, and it should not be. When it comes to something violent like this, there is a killer and there is a victim. There is no gray zone here. What are we doing? Like, the gray zone would come, is this self-defense? We already established this was not self-defense. He just fucking killed this other kid. Why the fuck are they talking about equitable justice? This guy, Karmelo Anthony, should be executed. That is just where we are. It doesn't feel right. That's the simplest way I can put it. He is far from alone in that view. Wow, her tongue looks weird. What the fuck? Why is it that shape and that color? Anthony's mother, Kayla Hayes, has appeared on television saying her son was simply defending himself. His father, Andrew Anthony, called the trial a setup. Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett described the sentence as evidence of a broken system. It is. I agree with her there. It is evidence of a broken system because in a truly working justice system, he would have gotten the death penalty and not only 35 years. Rapper Cardi B called it extremely excessive. Online fundraising for Anthony's trial topped $600,000 and his lawyers have already announced plans to appeal. Presiding District Judge John Roach Jr. took the unusual step of appearing on local news to defend the proceedings, calling it a race-neutral and fair trial, a move Johnson himself found extraordinary. I've never heard a judge go and do an interview after the case, he said. While judges giving media interviews after trials is uncommon, it is not unheard of in high-profile cases, with the Alex Murdaugh trial as one example. In Anthony's case, officials including Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis and lead prosecutor Bill Werski have maintained that justice was served, arguing that the evidence showed Anthony massively escalated a minor confrontation with lethal force. Austin Metcalf's parents addressed Anthony directly in court, and their words left little room for ambiguity. His mother Megan said 35 years was not enough, that she had lost a lifetime with her son. His father Jeff spoke of his pure, unfiltered rage. I'm glad his father finally woke up and stopped saying cucked things to the media. You failed your parents, you failed yourself, and you failed society, he told the teenage killer. You don't belong in this community. He's correct, except I don't think he failed his parents. I think his parents are indifferent and just see this as a quick payday, you know? We're finally made to suffer consequences for our actions. It just doesn't feel right. What did they mean by this? Once again, when you are ever treated with levels of privilege, when you're finally treated equally, it can feel like oppression.